Bazinga, bird nerds, how are you? Nice to be with you. Feels like forever. I'm obviously in a different place. I'm sitting at the work desk uh, of Mick from BirdLife Carpentaria. So, got a lovely outlook. I'm looking out over the mountains. It's stopped raining. I'll just check. I think we've had over 100 mil. We had a lot last night. Where are we? Rain. Hang on. Oh no, that's the radar. Anyway, we've had lots and lots of rain here. I'm in Yeppoon. For those of you who don't know, Yeppoon is on the coast near Rockhampton. We look out over the bay to Great Keppel Island, so it's sort of the bottom end of the Whitsundays. It's where the tropics kind of begin. And it's been great. Millie's out doing a morning tea in Rockhampton this morning, talking about shorebirds. And I've got a bit of a treat for you. I'm going to play you the speech that Millie gave yesterday. Can't believe it's only yesterday. Yesterday morning, we were in at Cleveland, down at Toondah Harbour, with the community on the Walk For Toondah, and it was big. I've got a lot of pictures to show you. I haven't prepared all of the interviews yet. There'll actually be a podcast episode go up in the next day or two. I'll try and get it finished this afternoon. Interviewed a lot of people. I tried to take a photo of every banner. I'll show you a lot of them today. Millie's speech was outstanding. Ian Tibbets, who is one of the authorities on Moreton Bay, the mud dwellers of Moreton Bay, he gave a really great speech too. What I didn't know is that this round of the fight for Toondah has been going for 10 years, but there are some people in that community who have been opposing development for 30 years. Developers always want waterfront land. And that never changes, and it doesn't matter where it is in the world. It's highly prized, whether it's access to shipping or whether it's for high-end waterside real estate, canal developments, all that kind of stuff. The group that's spearheading the resistance to Toondah is called Redlands 2030. And after the protest yesterday, and look, I counted about, and you'll see I went to a whole lot of different places on the walk and took photos. I counted 2,500 people, and I didn't get them all. Some people there was an upper estimate of about 4,000. I think it was closer to sort of maybe 3,200. It was a big crowd. It was fun, but there was a fair bit of anger amongst the crowd directed at the government because they don't seem to have they don't seem to be committed to their sort of environmental, what's the word? Their propaganda is probably the best word. So, yeah, I'll show you all that shortly. Now, bear in mind, I'm not in my normal studio, so I'm cobbling it all a bit together, so it might be a bit crappy. But first, let's see who's here. Got some comments. Stan, how are you, Stan? Nice to see you back. Yeah, I did notice you haven't been around. Hope everything's great. Yeah, hope everything's great. Tell me what's going on. Martin, how are you? Yeah, Raby Bay was, or wetlands, it was indeed. Welcome, Martin. Nice to see you. Hi, Naomi. I know you're there too. Facebook love, thank you very much. Now let's see. Millie and I met up in Brisbane. Millie was already up here in Yeppoon, and she went back to Brisbane to speak to the Walk For Toondah crowd. When did I get up to Brisbane? I got to Brisbane on Friday morning, and on Friday afternoon, Dr. Nic took me owl scouting, and we went to one of his regular haunts, and actually he was posting on Twitter today about a new nest hollow. He showed me that hollow before the birds had sort of occupied it. We had a very, very good walk. I was a bit hampered. I twisted my knee with all my luggage. I don't know if you saw the grumpy photo I posted of myself in Twitter waiting for, at 5 a.m. at Tullamarine Airport. But I slipped with my backpack on and carrying all the various bits and pieces and tweaked my knee. So I wasn't that great scaling the shaly slopes of the location that Dr. Nic took me to. Somewhere I used to really like going to too when I used to live in Brisbane for a while. So we saw a boobook owl, very unfussed about us, and then we did find the pair of powerful owls, and that was great. And Nic, thank you so much. That was a fabulous afternoon. I really enjoyed it. The next day, so what was that? Saturday, I went to the Sandy Camp Road wetlands and spent, 5 hours, I guess, walking around there. Saw a couple of lifers, one not terribly exciting, the white-throated honeyeater, but a lifer anyway, and another lifer, but I haven't had time to identify exactly which Girigony it was, whether it was the Western Girigony or the Mangrove Girigony. And I did a bit of tandem birding with some people I bumped into, who told me some of the hot spots in the Sandy Camp Wetlands Reserve. Much appreciated. Really lovely look at an ahinga, or a couple of ahingas there. What else did we see? Up close and personal, like we're talking, I don't know, maybe 1.5 meters away from a pair of kookaburras. They were just totally nonplussed. Lots of good opportunities for bird watching there and photography. Haven't been through all my photos yet, so that's why I don't know which Girigony we were actually looking at. I suspect that it was the Mangrove Girigony, but I'll let you know. I'll update with the bird list on the Bird Emergency. It'll be thebirdemergency.com/road trip probably, or road trip list, I guess. I'll pop all that up, probably work on that tonight. Stan, this was smart. When you're on annual leave, you can just turn off, decompress. Tell me, everyone, too, are the levels okay? Because I'm using a different setup. Just tell me if I'm not loud enough or if I'm too loud, and I'll make the adjustment on the fly. So let's see who's here. Stan's here, Martin's here. I'm thinking Naomi's here. Dr. Nic's here. Hello, Dr. Nic. Thanks so much. That was really, really, really good fun. Great to have Dr. Nic here. I don't think Dr. Nic's been in one of the live streams, so now we can't talk to to Millie, because Millie's out talking to a bunch of people in Rockhampton at the moment about her flight. Millie was like a rock star at the Walk For Toondah. It was great to see. I'll tell you, let's see if I can show you who else. Tell me if you recognise this person. Where are we? I've got to find the. just bear with me. Let's full screen this. Or here we are. Let's share that page. Yeah, bear with me while I'm on the fly. Here we are. Do you recognise? That's obviously Millie on the, what'll it be, on the left as you're looking at it, I think. But do you recognise who's next to Millie there? Oh, thanks, Dan. Yeah, look, I'm feeling quite refreshed. I must admit, I was feeling a little bit flat a few weeks back, and consequently, I haven't got off my ass to do much in terms of the recordings. But yeah, and I've had a couple of really good wins. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Thanks, Nick. Look, likewise, that was fantastic. Oh, I've got to share this, don't I? I messed up. There we go. Let's full screen this. So, do you recognise? Yeah, sorry, I did stuff that. Yeah, thanks. Here we go. Thanks very much. I'll put my hand up. I was an idiot. Okay, so do you know who the young fella is? Let's see. Excuse me, I'm dying for. I just went out for a walk and I got totally sloshed in the rain, got soaked to the skin, but I went and bought some wasabi peas and I'm having some. So, tell me who the young gentleman is with Millie. Bazinga! It is. It is. Come on, you can't just say the guy. Can't just say it's the guy from Sunrise Glossies. I'm sure you all know who it is. So I'm sure you've been seeing on Instagram. If you don't give me a name, I'll bring up his Instagram shortly, and we can have a look at it. So, tell me, what would you like to do first? Would you like me to play Millie's speech? It's about 15 minutes. Would you like to hear what she had to say at Toondah? You can tell me yes, and I will do it. Otherwise, I'll go through some of my pictures, and maybe Nick. Actually, while you're in the comments there, Nick, just update us on the state of play with. Nick, pop in the comments the link to the picture you had with all the birds peering into on Twitter this morning, peering into the hollow, and I'll share that for anyone who's not using Twitter. That was a ripper this morning. Okay, good. All right, Stan, Martin, great. Martin, I'm sorry we couldn't organise Gladstone. I would have loved to, but maybe being back in Yeppoon, I used to spend a lot of time here. I used to always come back to the car park. Oh, and this morning too. First heard this morning was the bush stone curlew. It started pinging off about 3 a.m. last night, and it rained so heavily here. Queenslander, the roof was astonishingly loud. But this morning, all the lorikeets woke up at about the same instant and started calling, and it was an absolute cacophony. I recorded a bit of it on the phone. I want to boost the levels and clean it up a little bit. and I'll post that on all the socials probably tomorrow morning, so you'll get a look. Okay, let's. Naomi, yes, I did try out my rain jacket, and it's not breathable, but it's very good. But like you sweat in it, but yeah, it keeps you dry. It was good. Well, dry on the outside. So yeah, thanks, Naomi. You're really good. Let's have a look at Dr. Nic's just got to let's get this. I've got to get. Where am I getting this? It's not letting me do the link. Nick, can you just pop it in just the link, or I don't know. Hang on. I'll do it on Twitter. That's easier. That'll be easier, won't it? Geez, I haven't opened up Twitter since we've been on the road. Nick, if you're on Twitter now, can you at me with that pic, and that'll save me some time. And I'll get straight on there. What notifications have I got? Sorry, everyone. I know it's a lot of fun watching me do this and do that. I've got your thing up, Nick. Is it your pinned tweet? No, it's not your pinned tweet. Here it is. Here we go. All right, let's put this up. So you can all see that, I'm guessing. Yes. Okay, great. So there's the scaly breasted looking into the hollow, and next, sulphur crested having a look, and the noisy miners having a look. And from what you can see there is that's the top of a tree that's been split probably by a lightning strike. So the top's disappeared and it's rotted out from the inside. So, yes, lovely. Okay, stop sharing. Okay, I'm back. All right, let's do Millie. Where are we? I'll just have to share that tab. Share the tab audio. Okay. Now let me know if you can't hear it or it's not loud enough or something. But here we go. Millie, this is the very beginning of her speech addressing the crowd at Toondah Harbour.
2030 and ACF Bayside for inviting me to speak at the Walk For Toondah today.
Let me go.
Thank you for that warm welcome. And thank you to Redlands 2030 and ACF Bayside for inviting me to speak at the Walk For Toondah today. My name's Millie Formby, and I'm a pilot, a zoologist and an illustrator. I bring all those skills together in a project I call Wing Threads Flight Around Oz. And I'm flying a microlight around Australia to encourage care and stewardship of our wetland habitats through the awe-inspiring stories of migratory shorebirds. There's about 37 species of migratory shorebirds that come to Australia, and every year they fly a round trip of about 25,000 kilometres to the Arctic and back again. The smallest species to complete that journey is called the redneck stint. It's a tiny bird about this big, he only weighs as much as a Tim Tam, and that bird can fly 5,000 kilometres in one go. But even more impressive is the bar-tailed godwit, the world record holder for the longest non-stop flight of any bird species. And the bar-tailed godwit, these birds fly over 13,000 kilometres from Alaska, where they breed, directly across the Pacific Ocean back to New Zealand and Australia. That's an average of about 60 kilometres an hour over 10 days. Now, these are birds that can't swim. They can't land on water or they drown. And they don't glide on thermals like pelicans or ibis. They flap their wings the entire way. The way they complete these epic migrations is by taking binge eating to the next level. They love to eat all sorts of things buried in the sand, in the mud, marine invertebrates, and they put on a lot of fat before they go, and then they'll burn that fat as fuel. Some of these birds will almost double their body weight in size before they take off. When you hear stories like these, it's hard not to be inspired. I know I was. About 7 years ago, I was struck by the idea that I could learn to fly a microlight and follow the shorebirds on migration from Australia to Siberia. My flight around Australia is a stepping stone towards that goal and will be just under 20,000 kilometres, a similar distance to what the shorebirds fly on migration every year. I took off from Perth last year and am currently halfway into that flight around Australia. And it will take me almost a year to achieve what a shorebird can do in a matter of weeks. Not to mention the years of flight training, learning to navigate, and aircraft construction that had to happen for me to do what a shorebird can do for the first time in its life at 8 weeks of age. The microlight is a type of powered hang glider, and I chose it because I wanted to experience what it's like to be a bird. It's an open cockpit aircraft, so I'm exposed to the elements like the birds are. And it's physical to fly as well, just like flapping your wings to Siberia would be. I physically have to push the wing left or right and forwards and back to steer, and it flies at a similar speed to what the shorebirds do as well. I cruise around at about 55 knots or 100 kilometres an hour, and we have records of birds flying up to 80 kilometres an hour on migration. What I love most about the story of shorebird migration is that it's a doorway to talking about how we're a part of nature. We're not separate to it. We're all connected through ecological networks called flyways. A flyway is a bird migration highway, and Australia belongs to the largest of 8 global flyways, the East Asian Australasian Flyway, or EAAF for short. Shorebird migration in the EAAF connects us to over half of the world's population, about 4.5 billion people across 23 countries. The wetlands the shorebirds rely on along the flyway are like a chain with links in it. The more wetland links in the chain, the more birds are able to make the journey with lots of places to stop to rest and refuel along the way. Understanding shorebird migration highlights that by taking care of our wetlands locally at home, our own links in the chain can have an impact on an international scale and help to keep our part of the flyway chain strong. And caring for wetlands is not just for the birds. The surface of our planet is 71% water, but just 3.5% of that is fresh water, and most of that is locked up in ice and glaciers. That's why caring for our aquatic ecosystems is so important. Wetlands are essential for all life on Earth and provide us with all sorts of ecosystem services. They act as a huge sponge that protects us from floods and coastal erosion. They filter and clean our water. They provide us with food. They're massive carbon sinks, and they're essential for biodiversity, as 40% of all life on Earth relies on wetland ecosystems. It's for these reasons that the UN has identified wetlands as the most important ecosystem type to protect if we're to overcome future challenges associated with climate change. And this is so important because shorebirds are one of the most endangered groups of birds on the planet. We're losing those links in the flyway chain primarily to development. With each link that is lost, the further the birds have to go in between stops, the fewer resources there are for them to refuel for their journey, and the greater pressure there is on the remaining wetlands to support life. From up in the microlight, I have a bird's eye view of this death by 1,000 cuts style impact of development on our wetlands. I see firsthand how the places they need to land have been chipped away at the edges by developments like the one proposed here for Toondah Harbour on our beautiful Moreton Bay. Moreton Bay is the southernmost destination for up to 30,000 migratory shorebirds in the flyway each year and supports internationally significant numbers, that's greater than 1% of the total flyway population, of 8 species, including the critically endangered eastern curlew, like Biko here, and the curlew sandpiper, and the endangered lesser sandplover. Other species are our favourite world record holders, the Bartail godwits, and our little Tim Tam bird, the redneck stint, as well as Wimbrel's grey-tailed tattler and Pacific golden plover. Not to mention the habitat the area provides for koalas, dugongs, whales, sea turtles, numerous fish species, and the wide diversity of wetland habitat types within the bay. The unique array of high biodiversity in Moreton Bay has qualified it to be listed as an internationally significant wetland under the Ramsar Convention. The Ramsar Convention aims to halt the worldwide loss of wetlands and to conserve remaining wetlands through wise use and management. The Toondah Harbour development, proposed by the Walker Corporation, threatens to remove 48 hectares of this Ramsar site, including the removal of a major mudflat at Oyster Point that the shorebirds rely on between tides. This action does not fit in with the wise use and management of wetlands. Oyster Point here at Toondah is one of the last remaining sites in Australia where you can see large flocks of eastern curlew in their thousands. This species has experienced an 80% decline in population over the last 30 years due to loss of wetlands along the flyway, primarily around the Yellow Sea near China and Korea. As such, they're no longer seen in such high numbers further south in New South Wales and Victoria. And at last year's Walk For Toondah, Rob Bush from the Queensland Wader Studies Group described Toondah Harbour as the last frontier for this species in Australia. Our Aboriginal elders have cared for this land for thousands of years, and it's our responsibility to join with them as custodians of the land and learn
Am I back? Can you hear me? I'm now on my phone. Um, let's have a look at all the comments. If you give me a thumbs up or something, let me know that I'm back. I seem to be back, but the internet here just died, so I'm now using my phone. So let's see. Yes, Chris, the sound was cutting in and out. I haven't had time to actually level everything up, but yeah, sorry about that. But I think you get much of it. Yeah, Frozen, but not in the popular movie kind of way. We haven't finished the speech yet, Naomi. I just paused it when I noticed that I had the whirligig of death on the screen. Um, yes, indeed. I did think it was a really great speech. Yes, you didn't hear the end yet because I'm going to play it for you now. We've got the end, and yes. Am I back? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me now and I'm keeping up. Seems to be all right. Just let me know, and if it's working fine, I'll run the rest of the speech. Or maybe I'm shouting into the void. I seem to be going all right. So let me know. Hello, hello, hello. I'll have some wasabi peas while I'm at it. Okay, you can hear me. I am back. Yes, good. Okay, so good. Thank you for all those thumbs up. All right, let's go back to Millie. Got the audio going. Let's make sure that I've put it into the stream, added into the stream. Okay, so here we go. We're going to pick up to where I left off. There's only a sort of, what do you got, 5 minutes left roughly.
People who share and value their connection to
Actually, let's bring it back a little bit so you can get all a bit there.
twin tides. This action does not fit in of this death by 1,000 cuts style impact. 71% water, but just 3.5% of that is fresh water, and most of that is locked up in ice and glaciers. That's why caring for our aquatic ecosystems is so important. Wetlands are essential for all life on Earth and provide us with all sorts of ecosystem services. They act as a huge sponge that protects us from floods and coastal erosion. They filter and clean our water. They provide us with food. They're massive carbon sinks, and they're essential for biodiversity, as 40% of all life on Earth relies on wetland ecosystems. It's for these reasons that the UN has identified wetlands as the most important ecosystem type to protect if we're to overcome future challenges associated with climate change. And this is so important because shorebirds are one of the most endangered groups of birds on the planet. We're losing those links in the flyway chain primarily to development. With each link that is lost, the further the birds have to go in between stops, the fewer resources there are for them to refuel for their journey, and the greater pressure there is on the remaining wetlands to support life. From up in the microlight, I have a bird's eye view of this death by 1,000 cuts style impact of development on our wetlands. I see firsthand how the places they need to land have been chipped away at the edges by developments like the one proposed here for Toondah Harbour on our beautiful Moreton Bay. Moreton Bay is the southernmost destination for up to 30,000 migratory shorebirds in the flyway each year, and supports internationally significant numbers, that's greater than 1% of the total flyway population, of 8 species, including the critically endangered eastern curlew, like Biko here, and the curlew sandpiper, and the endangered lesser sandplover. Other species are our favourite world record holders, the Bartail godwits, and our little Tim Tam bird, the redneck stint, as well as Wimbrel's grey-tailed tattler and Pacific golden plover. Not to mention the habitat the area provides for koalas, dugongs, whales, sea turtles, numerous fish species, and the wide diversity of wetland habitat types within the bay. The unique array of high biodiversity in Moreton Bay has qualified it to be listed as an internationally significant wetland under the Ramsar Convention. The Ramsar Convention aims to halt the worldwide loss of wetlands and to conserve remaining wetlands through wise use and management. The Toondah Harbour development proposed by the Walker Corporation threatens to remove 48 hectares of this Ramsar site, including the removal of a major mudflat at Oyster Point that the shorebirds rely on between tides. This action does not fit in with the wise use and management of wetlands. Oyster Point here at Toondah is one of the last remaining sites in Australia where you can see large flocks of eastern curlew in their thousands. This species has experienced an 80% decline in population over the last 30 years due to loss of wetlands along the flyway, primarily around the Yellow Sea near China and Korea. As such, they're no longer seen in such high numbers further south in New South Wales and Victoria. And at last year's Walk For Toondah, Rob Bush from the Queensland Wader Studies Group described Toondah Harbour as the last frontier for this species in Australia. Our Aboriginal elders have cared for this land for thousands of years, and it's our responsibility to join with them as custodians of the land and learn from their knowledge so we can share in the practice of caring for country. To do this, we need to be supported by nature laws that actually protect nature. The proposal to develop Toondah Harbour flies in the face of the EPBC Act and the Ramsar Convention, and if this government chooses to ignore Australia's commitment to Ramsar, it would send the wrong message to the international community about where Australia stands when it comes to our environmental responsibilities. Approval of the Toondah Harbour development would set a damaging precedent that could put other significant Ramsar wetland sites around Australia at risk of future development as well. What I see here today are people who share and value their connection to Toondah Harbour and Moreton Bay on Quandamooka country, which is such a precious thing, because when we grow up or live in a place, the creatures, the plants and the wild spaces, they all become part of our identity, and that's not something to be underestimated. There's a reason we feel anger about a potential loss of place like Toondah, because it means a lot more than just the loss of a few species. Anger is one of the stages of grief, and ecological grief is a real thing. The word for the distress we experience around the loss of place is solastalgia, and the extent that we experience solastalgia is a measure of the strength of our connection to place, our connection to country. Often the anger we see and feel in response to issues like Toondah Harbour masks the grief that we feel, because grief is often so much harder to sit with. There are things in life worth more than money: a sense of shared belonging, the freedom to spend time in nature, and the experience of wild places close to home. Those places are becoming fewer, smaller, and further apart. But we're not powerless. That's why it's so important to unite our voices as we are here today and speak up when a proposal like that put forward by the Walker Corporation threatens to cause irreversible harm. I've been so heartened by the number of comments submitted against the proposal for Toondah earlier this year, as well as how many people have shown up here today to Walk For Toondah. It's it's my dream that one day species like eastern curlew and bar-tailed godwit will be household names like pandas and orangutans and koalas, and that their wetland habitats will be protected so they can continue their migrations for many years to come. It's a privilege to have these species in our backyard. We are here to Walk For Toondah today to protect these wild spaces and the creatures that inhabit them, so that they can continue to thrive and be a part of the shared trajectory and fabric of our lives. We're walking for Toondah today so that future generations can be proud to know that we did everything in our power to put the well-being of ourselves and all that lives here above short-term profits. To the Environment Minister, Tanya Plibersek, please say no to Toondah Harbour. Enjoy the walk today. Thank you.
So, gang, what did you think of that? I hope it was loud enough and you heard it all. Yeah, I'm sorry about the in and out. It sort of does an auto level when you're recording handheld like that. But yeah, I thought powerful words, well chosen, lots of good examples for people to relate to. Did you know we had a Tim Tam bird? Hey, Millie, are you out there? Still out there? I thought Millie had come and give us a wave, but she must be downstairs getting ready. Um, we're going to prepare today for takeoff tomorrow, but it's highly unlikely we're going to uh, get to get to fly tomorrow. We're probably Millie flying, and I'll be tootling along with the vehicle and meeting her on the next leg. Yes, I thought it was terrific. Now let me just see how we're going to best way to share these. You there, Millie? Come and say hello. Hey. What's going to be the best way to? Yeah, here we are. Just just. Here we are. Which side do you? Yeah, we'll go on this side, and let's put this here. Let's put this down here.
Hello.
Look at that. There we are. Tell us, gang, if you can hear Millie when she's saying hello, because she doesn't boom quite as much as I do. So,
It's okay. It's okay not to boom.
Yeah, that's right. I might just turn that up. Yeah, it is okay not to boom. Sorry, I'm always booming.
Okay.
I'll just turn that up a little bit. How's that?
Okay. Hi everyone.
How'd the morning tea go?
Oh, it was good. I caught up with some sponsors at EcoSure, which is a sister company, another group called AB Sure, who do wildlife management at what do you call it? Airports. And,
What? Negating bird strike.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. By the way, Doktor Nic says hello.
Oh, hey Nick, how you doing? Lovely to meet you the other day. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed this speech. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. So, Millie, just tell everyone what our next plan is.
So we're flying to Mackay. Well, I'm flying. You're driving to Mackay. Flight leg 31 of the trip. So that's this week sometime. I was going to go tomorrow, but I think it's going to be raining now. I was just filming the rain outside. It's been non-stop. It's some minor flooding around here, around Brocky and Yeppoon at the moment. So that'll make the airport pretty foggy tomorrow. So we'll probably take off later in the week. So as soon as the wind conditions come good, we'll be taking off. And after Mackay, it's Townsville, Cairns, and then heading over the top of Australia.
What were some of the cool things we saw yesterday?
Oh, I saw cockatiels.
Yep.
That was great. A little flock of cockatiels on the, what do you call it? Power lines?
Yeah, there were probably a dozen, maybe 15 of them on just.
I think there's more like 20.
Oh, all right, okay, I'll go with you. Just on the Rockhampton side of Total Tools.
Yes, that's right, because I wanted to put it in either as an incidental sighting. Hi, Millie, such a good speech. Thank you very much, Naomi.
Yeah, so let's see, what else did we see on the way in that was interesting? We saw
Spangled Drongo.
Yes.
We had I think we had some scaly breasted lorikeets.
We did.
You see that yesterday?
Yep, we did. We saw those.
Blue-faced honey eaters.
Oh, I saw a big flock of those this morning, which and I've told everyone about the lorikeets. What did we have outside the bathroom window this morning?
Oh, this morning in the bottle brush has been dusky honey eater and brown honeyeater, and
Playing War of the Worlds.
and the little firebird. All the honeyeaters been fighting over the flowers.
Now, what I saw this morning before Millie got up, straight out the front window here, there's a group of araucarias, and there was a little hobby hunting, perched right up the top, and then heading. What are we going? It's almost north south, isn't it? Here, it's slightly northwest southeast.
Ocean is east.
Yeah, so northwest southeast, kind of going out on hunting trips. So that was good. I seem to be going well with little hobbies. I've got one that hangs out at home all the time. So little hobbies. That just shows how old I am. Little falcon, but of course Australian hobby. We haven't really seen any other parrots, have we? We saw plenty of corellas, plenty of sulphur-crested cockatoos. No pale-headed rosellas yet, which has been disappointing.
I have.
Yeah, but on this leg of the trip from Brisbane to here.
Yeah. Then there's a barking owl out here somewhere, and there's bushstone curlews at night time.
Yeah. Maybe if the rain holds off, we might find a barking owl.
Yeah, it's meant to be in those pines down there. Is that the araucaria?
Yeah, the group of four just there. Yeah. So we look at them just straight out the window. Naomi, Millie knows the name of the Save Sunrise Glossies.
Yeah, Spencer.
Yeah, Spencer. Yeah. Everyone knew who it was, but no, I've been waiting for someone to name him. Yeah, Spencer. We met Spencer and his mum and dad.
He's a sweet pea.
Yeah, so that was about the excitement. Oh, I didn't realise. Look what's out the window. Look at the main feature out there, Millie. Bunnings. Yeah. There's a Bunnings at your poo.
Yeah.
If you get bored,
I've already been there. Well, not
Have
today.
you?
I got to go get a ladder though.
That's right, step ladder. Hey gang, any questions that you've got for Millie about the flight while I've got her here before?
Yes, I have a toasted sandwich waiting to be consumed.
Oh, have you already cooked it? Okay, cool.
That's all right. I can answer some questions.
So yeah, just lob them in. I'll tell you about my great get. I replaced my field recorder. I actually sold my field recorder during the pandemic to eat, and I found a really good second-hand one, and it's been working well. But the good get was just I had to get some new binoculars. I'd purchased some online, and they just did not turn up. So I cancelled the order, and just on the off chance, I went down to Cash Converters in the city. On what day did we leave? Friday. So I went down on Thursday morning. There was a pair. So I picked up an as new, although no case, but an as new Nikon Aculon XE for $100, which was nice. What was my other good get? I had another good get. I can't remember. Anyway, that was great. And then we saw Powerful Owls. That was cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, I might leave you to it. If there's no questions, come grab me if there is one.
Yeah, I'll just shout it out.
Okay.
We've got one target species in mind, haven't we, for the next few days, if we can manage it?
Oh, we do? I can't remember.
Pigeons.
Oh, yeah, we want squatter pigeons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see squatter pigeons at Lake Mary Swamp.
Yes, if we...
I think it'll be flooded down there. It'd be nuts. There's a lot of cotton pygmy geese down there, and I went there the other day. And black swans, lots of cormorants, all your usual waterfowl, the ducks and the moorhens and swamp hens. There's bar-breasted honeyeaters down there in the Melaleuca as well that I'd like to try and see. A lot of kingfishers.
Chestnut-breasted.
Chestnut-breasted mannequin.
Yep.
Yep, we had about a flock of 100 in a paddock down that way, which is now known as Mannequin Paddock.
Imagine that. Imagine that. So, Yeah. Now, I think instead of trying to share all the photos, I think, gang, what I might do is we might wrap up in a second because I'm hungry too, and I bought a banana and I've still got half a pack of wasabi peas to get into. I'll knock up my list on the Bird Emergency website today, and I'll just segment it for each sort of journey. Like, and I'm only adding new ones to each location. I'm not going to add every bird seen at every location unless I get highly motivated and I do a bird data 20-minute survey or something everywhere. Let's see who we've got. We've got some new people coming in. I know Martin, Naomi, Nick, Stan. Who else is here? Tell us if you're new. Oh, Chris, I hope you're still here, Chris, and I hope the sound's better now too. I haven't seen you for a while too, Chris. I hope you're going well. What else do we need to tell them, Millie? How many hours flying time from here at Yeppoon to Mackay for you?
It'll be about 2.5-hour flight. If I've got tailwind, it'll be a bit quicker.
Oh, on the flight up here, we flew up on Alliance, which is allied to Virgin. Virgin obviously subcontracting out that route, and Millie's got this amazing software on her iPad that shows all the technical data for all of the airspace, all of the airports, but also the altitude and the airspeed and everything as you're travelling. So that was cool.
Well, it's my flight navigation software. It's what I use to fly places when I'm in the microlight.
And what's it called?
Avplan.
Avplan. So
it's a type of electronic flight bag. That's what it's called.
So that was really cool. So the flight up was pretty interesting.
Nerdy.
Yeah. No one chucked a wobbly. We didn't see anyone being a Karen, did we? We didn't see anything like that. It was just a pleasant flight. What else have been the highlights? The whole Toondah thing was great, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes, I do wear the iPad on my knee. There's a question.
Oh, there we go. Okay, let's put. Just for the video audience who watch it later, we have to put that up. And good, sound is fine. Okay, I bet it's quite echoey compared to at home. This is an echoey space. Here we go. They're coming in now, Millie.
Yes, I do. So, well, it varies. It depends what airports are available to land at. So what I've noticed in Queensland, especially coming into this part of Queensland, the options for airports are fewer and further between. So that makes it a bit trickier. So I've actually got hangar. It depends where I can get hangarage for one, because I like to be able to keep my aircraft out of the weather. So I will fly somewhere that I can get a hangar versus somewhere I can't. So flying into Mackay, I'll probably be landing at Mackay Airport, which is controlled airspace. So that's not what I would classify as a small airport. I'd classify that as a bigger one. And I'll be landing at, I don't know about Townsville if I've got hangarage there, but I'll be landing at Cairns as well. And so yeah, I do land at small airports though in general, because they're uncontrolled, and you have people around the country. There's a lot of very small airports around the country. People have private airstrips with hangars and things like that on their properties, and just regional places will usually have an airport because they need stuff for flying doctors and when there's a bushfire and other emergency services. So yeah, they're pretty common.
Now, for the audio, for the podcast only listeners, and so that I'll put on my radio voice and pretend I know what this means.
Oh, sure.
From Stan on Kangaroo Island, do you squawk ADSB so we can track you on Flight Radar 24, Millie?
Yes.
Now, what does that mean?
Yes, so ADSB, it means I have a transponder on my aircraft. So transponder is a special type of equipment that you need for flying in controlled airspace. So it emits a frequency that air traffic control pick up, and you have different codes. So if you're squawking, you squawk 4 numbers. So for a VFR flight, a visual flight rules flight, you would squawk 1200. If you're flying into controlled airspace, the air traffic control tower will give you a code that they want you to squawk, and you punch that in on your transponder and tell them that you're squawking that code. And then they can tell where you are when you're flying around with other aircraft, and they'll tell you where to go and where to fly. So if you want to follow me on Flight Radar 24, my aircraft call sign is Romeo. That's R for Romeo, so R9120.
There we are, R9120.
Yep, so just search R9120 and you'll see my flight history, and you can do it like a playback of all the flights I've done.
Okay, so
Yep.
I better work out how to do that on Flight Radar,
It's pretty easy.
because I use Flight Radar just to work out who the noisy bastards are that fly over my house. So, China Southern Airways, Sri Lanka Air, or Air Sri Lanka, or whatever it's called, Malaysian Airlines, and Vietnam Airlines. A couple of very noisy planes.
Yeah, sure.
So, folks, you can check out all the photos. I won't run through them now. It's going to be because I don't have the extra screen. It's going to be a nuisance to do it. So there we go, Millie. Stan's gonna stalk you on Flight Radar.
You can do that.
I can tell you they make a very nice coffee down here at Yapoon at
It's called Lua.
Lua Living. Lua Living, that's what
is
it's called.
it?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Lua. I just call it Lua.
Yeah, Lua Living, highly rated if you pop into Yapoon. I can also recommend the IGA here because they have big bags of wasabi peas. So that was cool, but they don't have any spiced broad beans. So major L there. Okay. And I will on the socials. Thanks, Millie. On the socials, I will let you know the page to have a look at all the photos from Toondah and the photos that I took birding at Sandy Camp Road wetlands. Thanks, Nick. Thanks again for taking us powerling. That was great fun, and I'm really looking forward to following along as the hours get down to business with your photos. Before I bail out, because we've just had the weekend, did anyone see anything interesting or groovy when they were out birding? What's going on Kangaroo Island, Stan? And thanks, Naomi. Yes. Stormy, how are you? Good to see you back. Look, depending on what happens with the weather tomorrow and what tasks Millie's got for me, I might stream again tomorrow. If the weather is less wet, I've got the Starlink box sitting down beside me, and it hasn't been opened up or anything yet. So I might work on that, and if we it just depends what routine stuff I have to do. I have to learn all my jobs. Naomi, yellow-scroted scrub wren, a lifer, very nice. Where did you see that? Royal National Park, by any chance? Let us know with that. Ricky has been posting some interesting stuff too about Royal National Park lately. Oh, and the other thing I heard on the radio this morning, concerning Royal National Park. They have just reintroduced platypus into Royal National Park. So they just introduced, I think, a group of 4 or 5 females. I think they introduced the males, and they're in the next few days will introduce the same number of the opposite sex. I can't remember exactly which one was right. Okay, Kangaroo Island. Corellas have gone back to the mainland, so you've got... we have a new sign to keep people off a local bird beach. Okay, 20 glossies fledged already with a total of 40 expected. Tell me, Stan, what's on the beaches? What have you got? Hoodies, red-capped dotterels? What birds are nesting on the beaches on Kangaroo Island? Naomi, so Birdwood Gully Trail in Springwood. Okay, now Springwood's that's near your mum's place, isn't it, Naomi? In the Blue Mountains. Tell me. Whiteface heron for me today. Oh, is that an unusual one for you near in the Parramatta area, Stormy? Chris. So, Chris, you've just had a week at Kangaroo Island and saw 56 species, including the glossies. Well, that's great stuff. Any lifers in there, Chris, or any that you hadn't seen for a while? Naomi, you've reminded me. Naomi had white-headed pigeon and grey butcherbird on the back deck. Really enjoyed seeing them quite close. At where we were staying in Brisbane, there was grey butcherbirds that came up to the balcony, but they were singing all the time. And coming out just as we arrived in Rocky, the pied butcherbirds were everywhere. And when I was walking back from the train station, from when I went to Sandy Camp Road wetlands, I saw a couple of pairs of pied butcherbirds. So that was nice. Okay, there we go. Thanks for correcting me. Springwood is up in the Blue Mountains. Yeah, not. Yeah. Cool. Red-capped dotterels, Stan's telling me, on the edge of town. Sooty oyster catchers and various waders. Stan, you can't just say various waders. That's just like saying, those brown things down there. Oh yeah. All right, what have we got here, Nick? Now let's see. Is that a link that you want others to look at, Nick, or do you want me to get that down and want me to chase that up? I'm having trouble. I know where I can easily see that in Facebook. That'd be great. So thanks for sharing those links, Nick. Okay. Great. Yeah. Good. I'm glad you said sharing is fine, Nick, because once I've put it up on the screen, it's kind of out there. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Letter article with some photos. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so Chris and Stan are going to hook up on some things. That's great. Okay, there we go. All about networking. Oh, I'm going to start re-releasing, in case you've never gone back and heard all the early bird emergencies, or if you know people who are interested in birds but not into podcasts, I'm going to start from episode 1 releasing them on Substack. And Chris, it was you, wasn't it, telling me that I should do Substack? Was that right? Anyway, I'm just about to. Probably that might be a project in the downtime for the weather if it's crappy tomorrow. Okay. That's about it for me. How good that I was able to stream this from the phone. It doesn't work in Melbourne, but it works here. That's wild. I can't do this on the phone in Melbourne. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Um, Millie's about to get exposed to some of my favourite 1980s, early 1990s alternative music. Uh, so we're going to be sharing, trading our favourite cool music. Oh, Purple Gaped Honey Eaters. Purple Gaped Honey Eater. Was that a lifer for you, Chris? That's a good get. Um, okay. Okay. Stormy, that surprises me that the white-faced heron isn't an everyday bird. I mean, that was just one of the, another white-faced heron birds where I grew up. Another white-faced. Oh, some Bauhaus. Yeah, maybe. Bela Lugosi's dead, perhaps. Were you a Bauhaus fan, Millie? Were you a Bauhaus fan? Do you know them? Okay. Naomi, there's a very good chance that Bela Lugosi's Dead might come out of the on the playlist. Uh, yeah, Chris. So thanks for the suggestion. I've been playing around with Substack for a while. And what I'll be doing there is uh, actually here we go, doing it on the fly. Maybe that's where I should put my bird list for the trip. Thumbs up or thumbs down. What do you reckon on that? That because that makes it that tempts you all into going to have a look. And then what I will do with Substack will also do some extra content. I'll probably do some more stuff about me as well as birds and conservation, but a bit more about stuff I think about and my low key opinions, right? Because you all know that I've got super low key opinions. Um, so, what is Substack? Okay, Naomi, that's it's like a newsletter. It's supposed to be like a newsletter site, but you can also do videos and audio stuff on it as well. And what has sold me on it, and Chris, is probably why Chris thought that it might be a good idea for me to do it, is that within the ecosystem of Substack, it's really easy for other people to discover other people who are on Substack. Um, so it's just another way of being found, because it's very difficult for people to find the bird emergency unless they're kind of looking for the bird emergency, or unless people are sharing. Oh, by the way, share everything, okay? First scenes and herds. Keep getting onto it. Naomi, if you just, I think it's just substack.com. Let me just check. Yep, substack.com. And when you head into there for the first time, it asks you what your interests are, and then it will suggest, it's mainly writers. That's how it started off. People who were, creative writers or journalists or stuff. But no one ever goes to the bird emergency website. So if I spend hours writing stuff there, journaling or something there, no one's ever going to find it. People just aren't looking for it there. So I'll be writing on Substack, and the way I will be creating those is probably I'll be talking to a speech to text program, so it'll probably read a lot more like I speak rather than me sitting down writing eloquent prose. Who knows? Maybe I'll start liking elegant prose, and I can become a big pretentious wanker. Who knows? Would you like a scoop? I can share something that Millie and I were talking about last night. both Millie and I have certainly have at least one book each within us. So I might start writing mine. So, what do you reckon of that, Millie? If I write down my adventures, so okay, yeah, Naomi, thank you for that. I think that's the way I'll start it off. I'll start with the bird list, and it'll be a bit more about my feelings about the birds and what I saw rather than just listing. Uh, yeah, I mean you all know what I'm on about. All right. So 25 minutes have passed since I said that's it. So that's it. Uh, I hope it's not raining wherever you are today, unless you desperately need rain. Thanks for all dropping in again. It's always nice to catch up with you every Monday. Holly is slated to join me at the same time next week. Oh, Naomi, thanks for this advice. I'll have to read this out for the audio folk. Don't become a pretentious tosser. Too late, they cried. Laid back, but grumpy and activist style is great. Well, I can't really be anything other than what I am, Naomi. So that's yeah. But 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 perhaps I could become a pretentious tosser if I tried hard enough. Yeah. Yes, I can't think of anything else. So that's it. Um, do please get involved with hashtag First Seen and Heard on Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I've been lax putting it onto Mastodon and YouTube because they haven't been very good in accepting the videos, especially Mastodon. I've had some trouble uploading from the phone while I've been out and about. So yeah, so sorry, Stan, if you've been looking for my First Seen and Heards on what did I say on YouTube. I'm going to have to force you to go to Twitter or to Instagram to get or TikTok. Check out TikTok, and there'll be more little shorts for TikTok while we're traveling. I think because it's a good place to just share little random thoughts. All right, gang, it's the bird emergency. That's another a good stand. I didn't realise that you were frequenting Insta. Good, great. Um, I do like the way Instagram and TikTok do the captions, and the more you do, the more accurate they are, and that's a good time saver. Uh, yeah. So please get involved in First Seen and Heard. Uh, Once Millie and I are in the swing of how we're going to do things and how our days pan out, I'll list another dawn chorus because I've been recording the early mornings where I've been. Uh, where I've been. So do the same and get ready for when we do the next dawn chorus episode, and I'll schedule the members only as well. Here we go. So that's good. Um, I suppose I should tell you about being a member, becoming a member, shouldn't I? So I should put up this little. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Um, I don't have it on this one, or do I? No. You know the deal. Thebirdemergency.com/join, and you can become a member there. When the Substack is up and going too, you can join Substack. The deal will be if you've joined on Buy Me a Coffee, or if I do Patreon, or if you've been donating, um, it you all get the member stuff. Putting I'm not going to have some bits for one kind of member and some for another. So whatever I do, if I do any levels, and I haven't done any levels yet, just one. But if I do stratify it, it'll be equivalent across the platform. And when I say equivalent, it'll be based on how much money gets paid back to the bird emergency from each of the platforms. So it might be $8 on one for the subscriber versus $6 versus $5 or whatever, but if it'll just even out. If you don't follow me on Twitter, please do. Bird Twitter seems to be working as of yesterday and today at Bird Emergency. And follow me on YouTube, The Bird Emergency. Bye, everyone.